Yeah, she was having a little bit spotty internet yesterday, but luckily when she took her Bluetooth off, it started
Yeah,
working.
I was going to buy some of those, and I'm glad I
Oh,
didn't.
I don't know. I find that sometimes it works better without when you don't have a Bluetooth. So I think that the sound will be fine today. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today's guest is a holistic health coach named Colette Mott. She's originally from Ireland, but she's broadcasting from the Netherlands, where she's going to talk about simplicity in preparing your food from her tiny little kitchen, making 3 delicious recipes, including an anytime oatie cookie. Please welcome Colette. It's nice to meet you.
Oh, I'm so honored to be doing this. Thank you so much. I can't, I'm actually pinching myself. I can't believe I'm doing this. But here
Well,
I
you're so welcome. So I'm curious, how did you end up in the Netherlands from Ireland, and how did you end up being plant-based? I'd love to hear your story.
I left Ireland about 41 years ago. So I've been sort of around the globe a couple of times. I've been in the Netherlands on and off now for about 11 years. My ex-husband is Dutch, so that's basically why I kind of ended up here. And we have a daughter. And but yes, so there was an 8 year gap between the last time I lived in the Netherlands to when I came back from New Zealand. I spent 8 years in New Zealand. So Ireland, I haven't actually lived in for 41 years. But how I became vegetarian, I became vegetarian in the early 80s actually. And it just, I mean, I grew up on a dairy farm in Ireland. So, as you can imagine, I mean, dairy farm, we had milk and meat and all sorts, but we also had a lot of homegrown vegetables. We just basically lived off the farm. But I don't think I appreciated it then, especially, the vegetables. I thought it wasn't cool really to eat from the garden or eat from the fields. So, but yeah, so I grew up eating meat. And then in the early 80s, I started running. And at the same time, I became a vegetarian. Just someone who I was running with said, there are much better ideas, to eat than what you're eating. And I thought, okay, I'll try that. So I became vegetarian from that. And then through the years, I kind of nipped in and out of fish every now and again, but I never could eat meat. And then when my daughter came along, I went through a phase during, her early years where I thought, maybe I should try this. And people, you just hear so much stuff about, oh, you need to have chicken, you need to have fish or whatever. So I would eat occasional fish. And I actually tried to eat chicken once. And I felt like I was walking around with a ton of bricks in my stomach for 3 days. So I left that. So, and then I kind of went in and out of going vegan during my nutrition training. I trained with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And during that course, we were advised to test everything. We were advised to test every kind of way of eating there is, which actually just really, I gained weight. I was confused. It was awful. We had 1 week, it was high fat and lots of fish, and then the next week I would try vegan, and it was complicated, and I really didn't enjoy the experimentation, but I kept leaning back into a more plant-based. And so I decided, okay, this suits me better. I like it. My body feels better when I'm vegetarian slash vegan. So when I would go vegan, I was drawn back in with the lure of cheese. You know what cheese is like with it's addictive. Um, so I would lure back in with cheese. And of course, living in the Netherlands, it's the home of cheese. So yeah, that was a big one for me to let go of. And then over the past, I would say, decade, I have had severe chronic skin issues, with eczema and herpes simplex virus. And a combination of the both, I would never know which one was showing up, but always there was something. And for literally for 10 years, I always had something on some part of my face, my eyes or my hands. Never anywhere else, just there. But when I was in New Zealand, I had literally, it connected from the back of my neck all the way around my, just around the front of my chest. And my neck, it was like as if I was wearing a red shawl. And I mean, I was going through some emotional issues at the time anyway, but I tried every kind of lotion, potion, therapy, everything to clear this eczema up, and nothing would do it. And then I did go gluten-free, vegan for a while, and then I would break it both, and the one time, you know, a slice of pizza would lure me back into both gluten and dairy, so I never caught quite which one it was. So eventually, spring forward to actually about 5 months ago, and I was still having recurring things on my skin, and I had gone vegan, solely vegan for probably a year, and I was still coming up with this stuff on my face. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to actually go SOS free. And it was the week actually I took oil out of my diet and stopped consuming so much peanut butter and almond butter. That was like my staples. And my skin cleared. And that was about 6 months ago. And I haven't cooked with oil since. And yeah, thank you. It was like as if by magic. And it's funny, at the same time, my jeans started to become really loose on me. And I thought, but this is nice, because, you know, there was, I mean, I don't need to lose weight, but there was, sometimes my clothes would feel a bit tight or whatever. But suddenly when I dropped the oil and the nut butters, it just felt so great. So I like that feeling, and I think I'll stay that way.
Well, that's fantastic. And you're not the first person that I've heard that situation from, and especially the difficulty giving up dairy.
Yeah, I know. And, you know, I'm not tempted back for that, because I know I just don't want to do that, you know, and now it's more for ethical reasons as well. But I don't fancy going back to that place where I just have this skin stuff going on, and I'm quite happy without it.
Yeah, fantastic. So what do you do in the Netherlands?
Well, I kind of I've had about a 21-year maternity leave. I was working on board cruise ships, I worked in the fitness on cruise ships, and I also did, my last contract was spa manager. And then my daughter came along, and of course I said goodbye to all of that. And really, since I was pregnant with my daughter, I just became a perpetual student. So everything I could do at home. So I did all my certifications. Then I would teach every now and again. I would teach Pilates, I would teach yoga, and I did coaching sporadically as well. But my main thing was just to be here for my daughter. And then we just moved up here in the last 2 years. And she's now at university, and online actually. So, but we have this tiny, tiny apartment, and I took sort of a while to transition from being married and not being married, and coming back from New Zealand was massive. So I think I'm still kind of at the end of that transition, and I'm ready to start again. Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm just open to what's out there. I'm working on a project at the moment, with a collaborator, and we'll see what happens.
Well, terrific. So what kind of recipes are you going to make for us today?
Okay, so the first, I'm going to do 3. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is actually something I do absolutely every day. The breakfast thing I do every day, and I do it in the same order as I'm going to do it now. The soup, it's actually a stoop. It's a cross between a stew and a soup. And I do that every lunchtime, and I have done that since the weather got cold in October, and I'm really reluctant to let it go now, even the weather's getting better. So I just might lighten it up as the days get warmer. So when I go to make the soup, I also prepare the breakfast. So I'm using a jar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back. So again, as this is a tiny kitchen, I'm limited for space. So just let me know if you can see properly. So it's either a choice of seeing me or the ingredients. So I think it's probably better the ingredients. Can you see this okay from there?
I can see the jar, the cutting board, the knife. Looks nice.
Okay, so this is already mixed. Now I have rolled oats, I have pumpkin seeds. By the way, I still haven't given up nuts, and I just have walnuts and a Brazil nut and seeds, pumpkin seeds and chia seeds. I just love them, and I think I really benefit from them. So there's pumpkin seeds and chia seeds already mixed in the rolled oats. So I don't measure anything either. I don't follow recipes. I just put in what I think. So this one, this you have to leave room for it to expand as well. So I kind of layer it about so. Okay, and cinnamon. I have cinnamon with everything. There's just cinnamon is just on hand. I don't, sometimes I just keep shaking and it just goes in. And also some wild blueberries, which I need to straight from the freezer. And this is, the wild blueberries. I just love these because it makes everything purple. I think you use these as well, don't you, in your...
I love them because they're smaller, so they disperse better.
No, you do have to brush your teeth well afterwards. So, and I top that with an apple. I have this addiction to apples. I think if there was one food that if there was only one food to eat for the rest of my life, it would be apples. Ever since I was little, and I once had a nickname called the Orchard Lady, because you see me, you see an apple in hand. So I chop an apple. You could grate it as well. It doesn't really matter. By the way, I'm not a chef. My knife skills are not fantastic. And I tend to damage my hands every now and again with either knives or burning it in the oven. So you don't have to be exact. You just chop it up however it comes.
Do you have the same kind of not ingredients, but equipment that I love in the Netherlands, like an Instant Pot or an air fryer?
Okay, now the air fryer, you actually convinced me to get an air fryer. But you see, I'm so with space here, I really don't have a lot of space. So the air fryer is now sitting on my dining table because I had to get it out of the way for tonight. I only have an air fryer. I have a tiny little food processor, like a mini food processor. But with the air fryer, I find that I like it, but it doesn't hold enough. I love a lot of food, and it just doesn't hold enough for me. I mean, and when I cook for myself and my daughter, I like to have a lot of food. So the thing I do most in it is tofu, and it really is lovely for that. So I add to this some soy milk. I alternate this. I use one time soy milk, one time oat milk. And this one I always get organic, and I always get one that with just soya in it. There's nothing else in it. And I really like that. And the reason I like soya milk is because it just makes it so creamy. And once this expands, then what you can do, as what I do, is when I have it in the morning, I top. Okay, so first of all, I shake it. You can see it comes. Look at the color.
That's beautiful. I love purple.
So that goes in the fridge. And then, so once in the morning, I will add to that, I will add flax. And what I do with the flax is I use my little smoothie maker to crush my flax seeds. It's like a coffee grinder, but it's actually a smoothie maker. So I buy the whole seeds and I crush them, and I will add about a tablespoonful into that in the morning. And I will also add this here. It looks like something from a laboratory, but it's actually soaked walnuts and a Brazil nut. And the reason I soak it is because, as you can see already, the water, color of the water, that's phytic acid, which comes from the nuts. And I rinse those off because sometimes it can be quite indigestible, the color from the nuts. So I will chop the walnuts, chop Brazil nut, have it on top of this. And then once I eat the liquid first, and then I add water to it. So I like to dilute things because, again, calorie density, once you add water, you have so much more volume and, less calories. So that's breakfast sorted. Next thing I'm going to do is my stew, which is a cross between a stew and a soup. So I'm just wondering if you can see it. Okay, so I've chopped already. I've chopped quite a bit of stuff already. So again, I don't measure. So I put my seasoning in first, and a lot of people don't do that. And and I know you say you start with onions a lot, but I use at lunchtime I use leek instead of onion because they're from the same family. So it's just I don't like to work a lot. I like to have things convenient, so I won't use both at lunchtime. So I'll use a leek, and I'll use the onion for evening meal. So I'm going to start with this is like an Italian mix, and it's got basilicum, oregano, thyme, marjoram, chives, and garlic. So I'm just going to put it here so you can see how much I put in, about that. And this one, I love this here. This is you can buy we have a health food supermarket here, but it's actually quite expensive. But I buy the non-salt blends of spices. And this one has also got garlic. It's got bay leaves. It's got celery root, thyme, parsley, and garlic and onion powder. So I put about that much in. And curcuma, which is turmeric, a little sprinkle, and black pepper. So, and when I stopped using oil, what I started using instead, and I start all my sort of savory dishes with, is tomato. I chop, and I love the taste of tomato. So I eat a tomato, chop a tomato, eat a tomato, chop it. So I always have a double. So about this much chopped tomato, and I'm just going to put the heat on. Put that in. So. And then I just add the vegetables. So I've got, the one I put in first is the Jerusalem artichokes. Now, Jerusalem artichokes are actually not from the artichoke family at all. They're from the sunflower species. And they've got a really nice, are you familiar with Jerusalem artichokes, FAJ?
Yes, delicious.
Yeah, they are lovely. And, if you wanted to substitute them, you could probably do it with, maybe with normal potatoes. I start adding water once it starts cooking, and I bring it to the boil, and then just add everything else. I add leek. So, and I also, on top of this, I was chopping some scallion, and it had a really big bulb at the end. So I just used the end of those for the soup. Put that in. And celery. I think the basis for me for almost every dish is celery, leek, and carrot. They're just my three staples. They're the ones I have to have, and I will never run out of them. I always make sure that I have enough there. So saucepan's half full. I just add some more. And here I've got a mix of sweet potato and carrot. The carrot here, sweet potato here. And the sweet potato, so again, sometimes I use sweet potato, sometimes I use parsnip. I won't use them both together because they're both quite sweet, and they both make it a nice, I love mushy food. So they both make it a nice sort of sweet, mushy consistency. I just stir it. And the last one is some butter beans. They're actually haricot beans. This one here. So these ones are from a jar, but I did do a batch cook of really massive butter beans, and I cooked them so much because I want to make sure they were really cooked. They went a little bit mushy, so I've saved those for another dish, and I just use the ones from the jar today. And just bring that to the boil. It's just so easy. Cover it and just leave it so. Yeah, and once that's boiled, I will put it on simmer and then start the cookies, the anytime cookies.
Are there a lot of plant-based eaters in the Netherlands, or any meetup groups? Or are you the only one?
I would like there to be more. There's, yeah, I think the supermarket that I go to, it's an organic supermarket. It's actually really expensive, but that's where you meet the real hardcore vegans and vegetarians, etc. But they do also sell organic meat. So the Netherlands, yeah, they love their meat, they love the cheese, they love the dairy. I don't live in the city. I live outside the city, and it's quite I'm an introvert, so I don't, even when things are open, restaurants are open, I don't go out. I don't enjoy going out for dinner, for example, because there's nothing for me to eat. So if someone were to invite me out to dinner, I would say, do you hate me that much?
Well, you're a girl after my own heart. I'm the same way. The food is always better and more plentiful and cheaper at home.
Exactly. And I always think, well, where's the vegetables? Where's the rest of the vegetables? Yeah, no, it's not worth it. But there are a few little cafes I like, going for lunch is a safer bet because they've got, you've got a better chance of finding something that you like. But even that, it's missing something. So no, it's not like the States. It's not, maybe one day it'll get there, but I think it's a far cry from it at the moment.
Wow. Is it easy to find the kind of food you need?
Yeah, there's nothing I can't get, actually, because I've lived all over the world, and there's I think each time, well, what do I miss from the other place that I was? And actually, if I think about it, I can get whatever I want here. It's very expensive. Food is expensive here. But actually watching Emma's show yesterday, I thought, oh my gosh, there are so many things I should be doing to take down the cost a little bit. So, I buy all these non-salt spice blends, and yes, I could make them myself. So yeah, it was really a really good show, and it did make me think a lot. So, but it is expensive here. Food is generally expensive in the Netherlands.
I put your recipes in the show notes, but I realized you put the temperature in centigrade for the cookies. So what would that be in Fahrenheit? 350?
Possibly. My tiny kitchen oven, and actually I'm not using the oven because it's so noisy. I don't put anything by time or temperature. It's a trial and error, and I literally just keep checking them because my oven it's an old one, it's a noisy one, and sometimes I even have to turn the cookies to get them done properly. So it's just they're done when they're done.
Colette, people want you to, when you're not cooking, maybe to adjust your camera so they can see your face. Yes. If you don't mind.
My head is on the okay.
She has a tiny kitchen, so she's doing the best.
I'm actually moving at the beginning of next year, and I'll still have a tiny kitchen, but it'll be a little bit more open. I'm moving up further north.
Nice. So do you have one more recipe?
Yes, I do. As soon as this is boiled, I'm going to start my anytime cookies. So let me just get that.
Everybody loves cookies.
And then I have to introduce you to my little dog, the love of my life.
We love dogs on this show. It's funny because the last few days have been a lot of things made out of oats, which is great.
Yeah, I know. This is quite similar to the ones that you had of late. Okay, and I started making these cookies. Gosh, I started making these about 10 years ago, or maybe actually more. And I haven't made the same recipe twice. So it's literally they whatever I think of, whatever I've got in the cupboard, it just, anything goes. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this so it doesn't go everywhere. So start with rolled oats. A cup, well, literally a cup. I think that's a cup. Again, I don't measure. And I use oat flour. At this time I've used oat flour, but actually what I normally do is I grind my own flour. Again, in my tiny little smoothie maker, I can put the rolled oats in and it comes out of flour. But I thought I would save the noise and everything for this time. And so this is literally whole grain oatmeal. And as you can see, it's not bleached or anything. So put that one in. I'll just put all the dry ingredients in first. This time I've got hazelnuts. Again, I crushed these hazelnuts with the tiny little food processor I have. So it's about half a cup. Again, you can use any, you don't have to use the hazelnuts. I love the taste of hazelnuts. Sunflower seeds. Again, they've got such a nice bite. I do like nuts and seeds, I have to say. Coconut. Again, you can leave, if you're going to use this for breakfast, I would say don't use the coconut and don't use the cranberries, which I'm going to use. Coconut actually makes it really nice and sweet. And cinnamon, of course, lots of it. And vanilla powder. So
I love vanilla. Vanilla powder is such a game changer, and it is expensive, but you don't need to use as much.
It's really lovely. Yeah, I know the pods are really expensive. And cranberries. Cranberries, and again, you can use any dried fruit you want. I sometimes make this with, I don't like it so sweet. So I don't like it with dates, but if you like really sweet, then dates are good. Otherwise, diced apricots is also nice. Raisins, also nice. I find raisins quite sweet as well. And that's about it for the dry ingredients. I don't use baking powder. I don't use baking soda. I used to, but you don't need to. Yeah, there's no reason to use it. Right, so this is on the boil. So I'm just going to turn it right down to let it simmer. There. Okay, so make sure it's all mixed properly. Couldn't see any of that, could you? Okay, so I've just put the dry ingredients. I don't think you saw me putting them in actually. I put the oats, the oat flour, cranberries, sunflower seeds, coconut, desiccated coconut, hazelnuts, cinnamon, and vanilla. So now for the wet ingredients, I've got 2 ripe bananas. Love bananas. I think there was someone the other day making the banana oat bar.
Yep. And then yesterday it was oat sweet potato bar.
Yeah. Oh, they were delicious. Actually, I'm going to have to try those. Okay. So this is my little smoothie maker. an individual smoothie maker, and that's what I blend my wet ingredient. Again, I use the soy milk, but you can again use oat milk if you like, or even water, but I like creamy soy milk. So, and I'll just add some more later if it needs to. So this might make a little bit of noise. So there's a kettle and there's a computer and there's Smoothie Maker all competing for a socket. Okay, so this might make a little bit of noise. And then you just make a little well in the center and put it in. I kind of put about half in first and then just check to see how it's going, and then add it accordingly. You know, and because oats kind of do, sometimes I might make this and then I'll leave it aside to almost set, and the oats get a chance to expand a little bit, and then they're much easier to put on the baking tray if they're more solid. So just make sure it's all blended. And then of course, if you don't use it all, you can drink the rest.
I read in your bio that you're a Reiki person and a Yin yoga person. Those are two of my favorite things.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I love yoga. I mean, I practice yoga every day, and my favorite to practice is power yoga, vinyasa, and sometimes I'll do a combination of vinyasa and yin, depending on how I feel. I just, you know, what do I feel like today, and I'll just do that. But I am actually trained to teach yin yoga and Pilates, so I combine them. Right, so that's the mixture made. So a little bit left over. And I'm just going to see if I can make some space to put them on the baking tray. But I'm not actually going to bake them because I've got some already made. So I got myself one of those silicone baking sheets. I love this. I only got it recently, and I'm like, wow, I love this. So it depends on what size you want them. You can put them whatever size you want. I like to keep them, I put them straight in the freezer after they're cooled, and I sometimes eat them from the freezer when frozen. And you can also make them into one giant bar and then cut them in squares. I use the same recipe except without the dried fruit, and I make it into bread. So I make it into like 4 square pieces of bread, and then you can actually slice it. I love that as well. And again, I'll use a different, maybe different flour, different gluten-free flour, and that works really well. Again, they don't have to be exact. They don't have to be even the same size.
That's a cool mat you're baking them on.
Yeah, I just got that recently. It's a silicone mat, and I really love it because I was using the parchment paper, and then I think I saw someone on your show using it. Oh no, it was when you were baking your bars, and you had the silicone pot or something to use to do your bars in, the oat bars. And I thought, oh, maybe that would be a good idea to do the baking sheet. I'm glad I did.
If the breakfast that you showed us, is that usually what you have for breakfast every day?
It is not. The jar I'm using for tonight is it's a bigger jar than I normally have. I use a lot less quantity wise, because I normally have afterwards, I have a really good, I was able to get a fabulous gluten-free sourdough bread here, and I just really love it. And so I'll have a piece of sourdough bread toasted with mashed banana. Sometimes I mash a pear as well, cinnamon, and I'll put some of the walnuts left over on top as well. And I'll have that with my coffee. Yes, I do love breakfast.
I bet those would freeze pretty well.
They do, they really do. And like I said, I sometimes just take them straight from the freezer. I know my daughter, when she's on her break, she comes up and takes them from the freezer, and just yeah, they're easy. And if there's a lot of mixture left over, I might just, make a small bread from it. I'll put it in, a little square or rectangle, and put it on the baking tray alongside, and have it as a bread. But I like the bread without the dried fruit in it. Okay, so there's some mixture left over. So that's basically, and there's still a lot of mixture left over. So you can make as many as you want. Yeah, quantity wise, there's no telling how much you can make, because it depends how much you want. Really, you can just change it accordingly. And the ones that I've already made, I will just show you. So this is what they come out like.
Wow, they look delicious. I put some banana ice cream in the middle and make little sandwiches.
Yes, and they smell really good. So this is the texture as well. Yeah, they do smell delicious. So that's the anytime cookies. Yeah, I actually once called them skookies, because they're kind of a cross between a cookie and a scone. So because there's no sugar in them, they're not crispy. So yeah, they're my skookies.
Yeah, I think it's the oil that actually makes the cookies so crisp.
Which?
I think it's oil that makes cookies crisp.
Yeah, actually I did. When I was using oil, I used to melt some coconut oil and put them in. And yeah, they do. But I'm just so glad I don't use that anymore. Really.
Right. Well, there's a question from Terry. How long did it take you to adjust to eating a diet without sugar, oil, and salt?
Well, the sugar, I didn't have a problem with the sugar, because I didn't add sugar to anything. And I was always very conscious, even from being vegetarian, I was always conscious of reading ingredients. And if the sugar was the highest on the list, then I knew. And so that wasn't an issue for me. And even, years ago, if we go out for a piece of cake from a coffee shop or something, I just felt I would be in a mood, and it just felt horrible. And I could tell the aftertaste of sugar. So I can always tell if there's something sugar. So that I didn't have an issue with. Salt, not really. maybe a little bit. No, yeah. But the oil, immediately. Oil immediately. And I actually rewind to 1990, and I came across the Nathan Pritikin book, and I decided to go down the Nathan Pritikin route, and that was actually SOS free as well. But I didn't know that was then. But I actually took it to more extreme. I really, really, it was quite damaging because, you know, with a baked potato, I would scoop the potato out and just eat the baked skin. So I was drastically reducing everything. So I went very, very skinny, and I was emotionally a wreck. So I thought something's got to give here, and I just, it was not a good place to be. And then I went from there to Asia, and suddenly everything was in fat and ghee and butter and then my weight was yo-yoing. So then that was me eating fat again. So yeah, it yo-yoed back and forth. But now I think the thing that was hardest for me to get rid of was cheese, and that will not come back for sure.
Do you have any of the cheese and meat analogs in your country, like Miyoko's or Gardein, things like that?
The what?
You know, like the fake meats and cheeses that are vegan, that are very
Oh,
popular.
yeah, we do. And I guess I went through a period of, being a junk food vegan, and ate a lot of, fake stuff. I ate a lot of the fake cheese, but they were never quite, they just don't match. But they were an okay alternative. They're okay for transitioning, but definitely not something that every now and again, maybe I pick up something, but no, I would rather not anymore.
I don't blame you. Is your dog available to make a cameo?
Yeah, I'll just.
Hey guys, if you're watching on YouTube, I apologize. We were late. It usually is the other way around. When the technology doesn't work, it's usually Facebook, but today it was YouTube. So you did miss just the beginning of the broadcast. I'll see if I can get it back for you.
My baby girl.
Oh my God, she's adorable.
Hey, Puffy. That's Penny. She's almost, well, she turns 10 in August. So she's an old girl, but everybody asks if she's a puppy.
I was going to say, she looks like a puppy.
Yeah, no, she really looks like a puppy when she's out and about as well. She sometimes behaves like a puppy. But she's getting old now.
Oh my God, she's beautiful.
She is the love of my life. Apart from my daughter, she is the love of my life.
That's what so many of us say that have pets.
I know. She's, actually, I grew up being terrified of dogs. I was really, really terrified of dogs. And being a runner, if I even heard a dog in the distance, my whole body would go cold and I would go the other way. And I was never attacked or anything, but I just grew up being terrified of dogs. And then I thought, well, I can't pass this on to my daughter. So we delved into getting Penny, and she just brought so much love and so much joy into our life. She's incredible.
Is she a golden retriever? Julie asks.
She's not. She's a cross between, she's a retrodoodle. She's a retriever, poodle, Labrador, and she's about the size of a small border collie. So she's kind of a manageable size as well.
That's great. Where do you like living better, Ireland or the Netherlands?
Oh, I haven't lived in Ireland for 41 years, so it's a very long time will I ever go back? I don't know. Maybe, never say never. The Netherlands, it can be quite cold in many ways, not just temperature wise. But there's things I like about here. The things I like most is that my bike is my mode of transport. I don't have a car. I sold my car when I got here. And my bike, I do all my shopping on the bike. That's just a mode of transport. And I like the fact that there's bike lanes. And you can get anything you want. Everything's convenient and it's very efficient. but it can be a little bit cold. It can be a little bit spiritually cold. And, coming from Ireland, it's really important for me to have a sense of humor, and I like to laugh, and sometimes it just doesn't happen here. So, yeah, it's fine. It's nice, it's clean, and it's efficient.
That's great. Do you still run?
I don't run as much as I used to, but I still, every morning with Penny, when I take her out, I kind of run, stop, run, stop, run, stop with her. And it's about 15, 20 minutes. I did run a lot more, and then I got osteoarthritis in both my feet and I had to stop. But then once I stopped the oil, actually, they, as if by magic, seemed to get better. And then I tried running again, and if I ran too far, I would feel it again. But I can now easily do my little run in the morning, and that's perfect for me. It's the right distance. It's just gives me great energy, and yeah, I love it.
Great. Any of your friends and family become vegan because of you?
I wish. Well, my daughter is, when she's here. When she visits her dad, then I dare not to even think about it. But no, one of my sisters is predominantly vegetarian, but I've not. It's just a conversation that just can't be had. Actually, it's a very strange one. I think coaching. You can coach anyone apart from your partner or your family, apparently, and that really is true. So I just have to lead by example, and hope one day that they might get the message.
Wow. Yep. That's how it is often. Are you writing a book now?
Say again, sorry?
Are you writing a book now?
Am I writing a book? No. No. It took me writing a book it's no easy feat. It's well, as you know, you've written several, and I self-published both my books, and it's time. I don't like sitting behind a computer. I really don't. I love being in my kitchen, albeit a tiny little cupboard-sized kitchen. My passion, time stands still when I'm in the kitchen. And when I sit behind a computer, I get antsy, and I don't like sitting behind a computer. And it takes a long time, but never say never. You never, you never know. I did 2 within the space of a year. So who knows? Yeah.
Gabriella says, what are traditional Irish foods and traditional Dutch foods like?
Oh, Irish foods. Well, there's Irish stew, which is, so I'm just going to, I'll just put this in first. This is the miso I'm going to add to the stew, about this much. It's a brown rice miso, and I just tip it in and let it sit for a little bit, and then I can blend it through. Irish, there's a lot of meat, stews with boiled meats and beef, sausages, potatoes, of course. And the Netherlands is also potatoes. So lucky, I actually love potatoes. So and my daughter loves them as well. She's half Dutch, half Irish, so she's got it from both sides. And the Dutch have their typical, their frikandellas, which are just, what goes in them, I dare not think, and they look like croquettes. And there's sausages they have, and I think Emma talked yesterday about the friet shops. They have, they're like snack bars, and they have them, they're a little bit like small fast food places. And they have a lot of fries with mayonnaise. So instead of ketchup, they have mayonnaise. And they also, some of their dishes are not, the Dutch dishes like boerenkool and stampot, they're all both made with potatoes, and they have, the boerenkool is made with kale. So you have mashed potatoes with kale through it, but they put also some bacon and ham or something through it. So when I used to make a vegetarian version, I would have more green than white. So I'd have more kale than the potatoes, and I would obviously have no meat in it. And the stampot is just cooked carrots and onion and potatoes just mashed all together. So, and that's, I mean, I like that. So, but the rest of the Dutch, yeah, they live for their baked goods, and the bakeries are just, that's, you know, when everything closed down, the bakeries were open because that's essential shopping for the Dutch.
Do you get different varieties of sweet potatoes in the Netherlands?
Not much, just the orange ones, and occasionally the purple ones, but they're white inside. I don't actually know the name. I got something else the other day. It was a taro, a long, taro. That was interesting. I hadn't seen it for a while, and I thought, oh, I'll have that. But yeah, those are the two varieties I'm familiar with here.
Nice. And was that dark miso you were using that you put into the soup?
Yeah, that was a brown rice miso. It's a really nice one. It's a mild one. I sometimes use the barley one, but it's really, really strong and quite dark. And this one I find is a really nice, it's just got a nice mild flavor to it. So you just stir it to make sure it's all nice and blended. Then it's ready to go. So just pop it. So I make this every single lunchtime, and we have it in massive bowls like this. And then what I do on top is I will add some scallion. And then I will sprinkle this one. I love this. It's a blend of seaweeds, and which is excellent for your thyroid. And I just shake a little bit of this on top. And that's.
Susan wants to know, do you cook every day or do you batch cook?
I cook every day. I used to not have a freezer. I used to not have a freezer until about 2 weeks ago. I had this tiny, tiny little freezer, and I just couldn't batch cook anything. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I really need to start batch cooking. So I bought myself a freezer, which is just around the corner. And then I started batch cooking beans, butter beans, azuki beans, and cookies, and vegetables. But I do like, in terms of this soup, I would rather have this fresh every day, and it's just so easy. It's just as easy as you know, taking out of the freezer. That's, you have it, and on top those scallions and this seaweed blend I've sprinkled on top. So that is your stoup, as it were.
That looks really delicious.
Smells good too. But it's too late for me to eat it now, so it's going to be tomorrow's lunch.
That's right. It's nighttime in the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's right. It's past my bedtime, actually. I'm normally better.
Well, I'll let you go. Just a couple more questions we have for you. And one of them was really interesting. Let's see, where did it go? It was about the difference in the countries. Which one was more like plant-based friendly?
Oh, I don't know what Ireland is like at the moment for plant-based. I know New Zealand, which is the last place I lived before here, that was probably better than the Netherlands. Although having said that, if I went to Amsterdam or some of the main cities of Rotterdam, Amsterdam, I'm sure it's much better. And there are, I mean, I hear from other people, there are a lot of nice places to get some really good vegan stuff. But in this place where I am at the moment, because it's a little bit provincial, it's just a very small town, not directly here. So the bigger cities, I think they're all coming forward.
Great. And Marcy said, do you eat out? If so, how difficult? You did talk about that at the beginning. And like me,
Not
she
if you
preferred
can help
not to.
it. I would rather not. I mean, why bother when you can, have better food at
Make
home?
this kind of delicious food. Jessie says, do you teach any particular kind of yoga?
Well, I teach yin yoga and also yoga Pilates, which is a combination between yoga and Pilates.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love that. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Oh, from Margriet. What are your favorite Dutch stores to shop in?
Oh, for food.
She didn't say, so maybe if there's other kind of stores, let us know.
Well, for food, I would go to Eco Plaza, which is a chain of organic. It's a supermarket, organic supermarket, but it is very expensive. It's quite elitist. Albert Heijn they've also got some good, I shop at like 3 different supermarkets because there's sometimes I can get something in one and I can't get it in the other. And also because I shop on my bike, there's only so much I can carry. So I tend to shop nearly every day. So Albert Heijn and Jumbo and Aldi, but mostly Eco Plaza and Albert Heijn.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Well, you showed earlier that you were able to get salt-free seasoning, so that was cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was a find. Yeah.
What about the balsamic vinegars, the ones that I love that are thick and syrupy? Do they have that in the Netherlands?
They do, but I do have a balsamic vinegar which is very watery and it's got no sugar or anything added. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Well, this was a wonderful demonstration. Thank you. The food looked beautiful. The recipes were simple enough for anyone to make, and thank you for giving them to us. They're in the show notes now. It does say 180 degrees centigrade. I'm guessing that's about 350 Fahrenheit for baking.
Yes, I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, I really hope that they came through okay with my lack of space. But yeah, you don't need an elaborate kitchen to cook simply.
Is there anywhere people can follow you? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? Where would you like people to connect?
I'm just such a tech novice. My technology skills are so bad. And I'm kind of stumbling my way through a YouTube channel at the moment. So it's just under my name on the YouTube channel. And I'm just starting this podcast and program with fattofitwellness.com. So that's going to be out soon. And we're doing a summit as well. So I'm co-hosting on the summit. But really, I'm old school. I don't have a website of my own. I used to have at one point. And no, it's just simplify. I'm on Facebook under my own name. I'm on YouTube under my own name. I don't have much up there, but I did post one today, which I was doing a little bit of my version of raspberry ripple ice cream. Very simple.
You're going to host a summit. What's the topic of the summit?
It's a health and wellness summit, and it's covering all aspects of wellness. And myself and my co-host, well, she's actually the brainchild she's doing 6 summits per year. She's the brainchild of Super Conscious Success Summit, and it's 2 paths, 1 destiny. I'm the vegan half, and the program we're putting together is where we collaborate on that, which is, it's not about the food and it's not about the food. It's all the other aspects of health. And then for the food, she goes her way and I go my vegan way.
Last question. Bullen says, what kind of water do you use and how is the tap water quality where you live?
I've just recently, the tap water quality is okay, except that I've just recently bought a Brita filter. And the reason I bought it was because it was a lot of calcium, chalk on my kettle, and it was making it, make an awful noise. But taste-wise, it was fine. They don't put fluoride or anything in it, so it's fine to drink. It's just that I didn't like what it was doing to my kettle, so I bought a filter, and it's fine now.
Great. Well, great. Well, thank you so much. It was nice getting to meet you.
Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm so grateful that I was here. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. The recipes look delicious and good luck with your summit. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when my guest is the author of the Plan A Diet, Sid Nodder, and she's going to be making a roasted balsamic mushroom quinoa salad. Take care, Colette. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.